Have you ever felt like you were playing a game where you do not even know the rules? A game where no matter what move you make, you lose. You try to be a good guy. You give kindness, stability, consistency. You believe these are valuable gifts. But what you get in return is silence. The feeling of being taken for granted, nothing more than a safe option. Your attraction seems to evaporate, and you wonder where you went wrong. So you try a different path. You put up a wall, become strong, decisive, even a bit cold. You learn to say no, learn to set boundaries, and then they call you controlling, distant, a jerk who does not care. Once again, you lose. Whether you're the good guy or the bad guy, you are not the winner. The truth is, you cannot win. Not because you are weak, but because this game from the very beginning was set up for you to not be able to win, and here is why. There are two forces tearing you apart. On one side is modern culture. It pours sweet words about equality, understanding, and unconditional sharing into your ear. It tells you to be softer, to be more open. But on the other side, boy, is millions of years of biological instinct, a raw, cold truth that never lies. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, over 200 years ago, saw through this harsh reality. He exposed the illusion that we are all living in. He said that a relationship, in its essence, is not about love, it is about power. It is not about a connection of souls. It is about utility. Your value in the eyes of others is not in who you are, not in your heart, but in what you can provide. Hearing these things, you might feel uncomfortable, bitter, even angry, but this video is not made to soothe you. It was made to awaken you, because only when you understand the rules of the game can you stop being a passive pawn on someone else's chessboard and start becoming the player who reclaims control of his own destiny. Watch until the end, to not only discover exactly how you are being used, but more importantly, to find the only way out for a man in this modern world. To understand the rules of the game, we must begin with the greatest illusion, the foundation of all of a man's mistakes. It is the illusion of choice. Imagine a familiar scene. A man walks into a crowded space. His eyes scan the crowd and then he stops. He sees her. There is something in that moment, an urge, an inexplicable attraction. He believes from deep within his instinct that he is chosen. His heart beats faster. A surge of energy compels him to act. He thinks she's the one. And so, he decides to approach. He decides to start a conversation. He believes he is the initiator, the hunter, the one who holds the power of the first choice. The entire story that follows, according to him, originates from this decisive moment of his own. But that is only half of the truth. And a half-truth is more dangerous than a lie. What if that moment of choice was never really his? The truth is, a man's action is often not a proactive act. It is a reaction. He does not choose. He is merely responding to a signal that has already been sent. An invisible, subtle, and often completely unconscious signal. It is a gaze held a little longer than usual, a smile that appears at the exact moment their eyes meet. A body gesture, the way she stands, a gentle flick of her hair. All of these are biological triggers, designed to activate a man's attention. He is like a puppet on a stage, believing he is dancing freely, without realizing the invisible strings are pulling him according to another's will. In this script, women do not need to pursue. They do not need to hunt. They just need to exist, to show up, and to screen. They create a stage where the man believes he is the director, writing the story of his own life, when in fact he's just an actor, playing a pre-selected role on a path that has already been laid out for him. This is not a philosophical speculation. It is a mechanism that has been observed and documented by science. It is called the mate choice copying effect. Evolutionary biologists have demonstrated an astonishing truth. A man's value in the eyes of other women skyrockets immediately after he is chosen by one woman. The approval of one person, whether it is just a date or a relationship, acts as a seal of authentication. It sends a powerful signal to other observers. This man has been vetted. He has value. This shows the supreme power of the screener, of the initial chooser. Their choice does not just attract one man, it amplifies his value in the eyes of an entire community. It creates social proof, transforming him from an anonymous individual into a certified asset. And a certified asset is always a more attractive target to use. So if the man is not really the one choosing, what is his real role in this game? The answer is even more unsettling than the initial illusion. He is not a player. He's a resource. And that resource in the 21st century is not what he owns, but who he is. More specifically, it is the most precious thing a modern human being has. The most valuable asset of a man today. Is not the money in his bank, not the real estate in his name, nor the car he drives. It is his attention. Attention is the new currency of the digital age. It is pure gold in the economy of distraction. Every like he presses on a photo, every text he sends without being sure of a reply, every story he watches mindlessly, every moment he spends thinking about someone who is not thinking about him. All those actions are not free. They are an investment, a unit of life energy withdrawn from his finite account. It is an invisible currency. And it is being systematically mined every second, every day. And here's the core truth that many people do not understand. A woman does not need to have feelings for a man to crave his attention. She does not need to want him, to want what he gives, because his pursuit is a form of reward. His attention is a mirror reflecting and amplifying her value in the social market. It validates her status. It reassures her that her attractiveness is still there. It grants her a type of soft power, an invisible control that demands no commitment or responsibility from her. He is working for free, paying her a salary with his focus. And here's how this system operates perfectly to get men addicted to paying that salary. It uses one of the most powerful psychological mechanisms ever known, the same mechanism that operates slot machines. It is the variable reward loop. Imagine a man pulling the lever of a slot machine. He does not know when he will win. Most of the time, he gets nothing. But occasionally, completely randomly and unpredictably, the machine will dispense a small reward. 2 cherries, a faint ding-ding sound. That is exactly what happens. Occasionally she will drop a little bit of positive signal, a short reply to his text after hours of silence, a casual like on his story, a fleeting compliment. These small, unpredictable rewards are more addictive than a large, certain reward. They are just enough to keep him in the game, just enough to plant a hope in his head that maybe next time will be different, just enough to make him keep investing more time, more emotion, more attention, with the illusion of a jackpot that never really comes. He is not in love. He is being programmed to chase a mirage. But the exploitation of attention, no matter how sophisticated, is just the surface of the problem. It is just a tactic. There is another kind of power, an overall strategy, that is deeper, more dangerous, and so perfectly concealed that most people never see it. It is not disguised with strength. It is disguised with weakness. From the time he was a boy, a man is taught about the nature of strength. Strength is dominance. Strength is decisiveness. Strength is the ability to endure and solve problems. Strength is tangible, clear, and always comes with responsibility. That is a lie. More accurately, it is only half of the definition of power. And in the real world, the other half is the more dangerous one. Because in the game between men and women, the greatest power, the one with the most effective ability to manipulate and control, does not come from displaying strength. It comes from displaying weakness. Consider this contrast, an asymmetry that exists in every interaction. A man who yells in an argument is immediately labeled as aggressive, hostile, toxic. A woman who cries in the same argument is seen as being genuine, expressing her true feelings, a victim of the stress. The man's action is seen as an attack. The woman's action is seen as a cry for help. The emotional scale of justice immediately has tipped heavily to one side. This is a perfect weapon. Because it does not operate based on logic, but on instinct. A well-timed teardrop can extinguish any sharp argument. A trembling voice can neutralize any valid criticism. Weakness, displayed with intention, will trigger one of the most primal and powerful instincts in a man, the instinct to protect. When faced with weakness, a man is programmed to lower his weapons. He stops attacking. He lowers his guard. He voluntarily gives up control, not because he is forced, but because he believes he's doing the right thing. He is protecting, shielding, without realizing that in that very moment he is lost. And here's the most frightening part of this kind of power. It is not just effective, it is protected by the entire social structure. Let us call it the believability gap. In interpersonal conflicts, in media narratives, and sometimes even in the legal system, a woman's word carries a special weight. There is an implicit tendency to believe they are more trustworthy, that they are the more vulnerable party. This gives them an almost absolute power, the power to shape reality. And when a person can shape reality to their will, they are freed from the greatest burden of power, responsibility. Their power becomes invisible. It hides behind tears, behind emotional narratives it cannot be questioned, and therefore cannot be punished. So the bigger picture is starting to emerge. When a man's choice is actually just a reaction, when his attention is mined like a currency, and when the opponent's weakness becomes the strongest weapon, then what in the end will determine his ultimate value in this game? What is the undeniable measure? The deciding factor of whether he will stay or be eliminated? The answer lies in a single word. A cold and ruthless word. Utility. This is the final common denominator, the cold, emotionless measure that decides everything. When all the layers of romance, of promise, of fleeting emotions are stripped away, the only thing that remains is this question: is he still useful? To understand this, a man must completely discard every fairy tale he has been told. His relationship is not a poem, it is not a love song, it is a contract. A silent transaction that no one speaks aloud. The time he spends, the attention he gives, the protection he provides, the social status he brings, the financial resource he shares, those are not gifts given from the heart. In this invisible contract, they are the terms. They are the obligations. They are the price of admission he must pay to be allowed to play the game. And this is the law of every contract. It is only valid as long as the parties are fulfilling their obligations. When a man is still providing value, when he is still useful, the contract remains in effect, the relationship is maintained, stability is ensured. But observe what happens the moment he stops providing, the moment he fails in his career, the moment he's exhausted and no longer has the energy to protect. Or simply the moment he shows weakness, showing that he too is just a human being struggling with his own problems. Immediately the contract is up for review. Traction begins to fade, respect begins to erode, and loyalty, which the naive man believed was built on love and commitment, will evaporate like the morning mist. Because that loyalty from the very beginning was not signed with him as a person. It was signed with his utility. This is not cruelty. This is not a moral failing. This is simply one of the most basic and ruthless laws of biology at work. It is the instinct of hypergamy. Hypergamy is an evolutionary biology term describing the innate tendency of the female sex to seek and mate with a partner of a higher status, resources, or value. It is not a conscious choice. It is a biological command, a survival strategy programmed into the DNA over millions of years. A strategy designed to ensure the best possible security and future for herself and for the next generation. Therefore, the constant evaluation and seeking to upgrade to a higher value partner is not betrayal. Through the cold lens of nature, it is efficiency. And the greatest tragedy in this entire story is that most men are eliminated from the game without ever knowing they were participating. He walks into a transaction thinking it is a sanctuary. He signs a contract believing it is a sacred vow. He thinks he lost at love, but in reality his usefulness just expired. So, if it is all just a war, a transaction, a pre-programmed game of ruthless biological laws, is there any way out? Or are men forever trapped in the role of a replaceable resource? There is a way out. After all the harsh truths, the cold laws, the answer is yes. There is always a way out. But it is not where you have been looking. The way out is not in trying to play this game more cleverly. It is not in learning a few more tricks or trying to become a more perfect version of the good guy or the bad boy. The way out is in refusing to play that game by someone else's rules. It is in flipping the entire board. All the things that Schopenhauer pointed out, all the laws of power, utility, and instinct, he did not present them for us to hate women or for you to become bitter with the world. That is a disastrous misunderstanding. He presented them for us to understand nature. And accepting the truth of nature, no matter how uncomfortable, is the first and most important step to liberation. You cannot change gravity. You cannot change the instincts of others that have been honed over millions of years. Trying to do so only brings frustration and exhaustion, but you can absolutely change how you react to it. You can change the rules of the game for yourself, because the prison that holds you is not built of brick and mortar. So what is the path forward? It begins with 3 revolutionary internal shifts. First, start treating your attention like gold. It is your most precious asset. Do not sprinkle it for free on anyone who does not deserve it. Give it with intention. Make it a reward for those who actually bring value to your life, instead of a tool for you to buy the approval of others. Second, start seeing your silence and self-control as your fortress, not your weakness. The world may demand that you be open, that you share. But the truth is, the ability to control your inner world, the ability not to let your emotions spill out undisciplined, is one of the most powerful expressions of power a man can possess. And finally, most importantly, start building your own value for you. Pursue your mission, hone your skills. Build your body, your mind, and your spirit, not to become attractive in someone's eyes, not to be chosen by someone, but because it is your duty to your own potential. When you stop seeking validation from the outside, you will find an infinite source of power from within. Because in this world, the ultimate power does not belong to the player who wins the game, but to the one who understands the rules so well that he can write his own.